Okie doke, welcome back to Chrissy Tina T. I am Chrissy Tina T, whichever name you want to call me. But, this wasn't what I was expecting to do today, but we're bringing back more to the story. Sort of my version of game theory, but I ramble about different theories I have about things. So they're not necessarily fully fledged out, they're just ideas, in a sense. And today we're talking about Alan Wake. We're talking about a game series that I am a major fan of. I've played some of the games. I wish I could play the second game, even though I have it, but my computer at the moment can't run it. I don't have a gaming PC. They are expensive and out of my price range. But I digress. We are talking about my theory that the dark place in the darkness is seeping out into dreamscapes, which that way could potentially seep out into reality because the dreamscape is just one step away, in a sense, from reality. And the reason Night Springs DLC for Alan Wake 2 is what really got me thinking about that. Because it doesn't necessarily. That's the thing. The dark place typically sculpts itself around the person trapped in it. But even from episode 1 of the, or like chapter 1 of the Night Springs DLC with the fan, it's Rose's world. It's the rose tinted world of the fan. Like, it's her dreamscape. She's running this diner. She is running a massively popular blog. Everyone loves her and adores her and comes to her for advice. This is her dream. This isn't a nightmare like the dark place typically creates. The shadows aren't in her dream. So, along with that, and also the other two chapters where it's just like, okay, this is seeping into multiple realities. If the dreamscape is next in line to other realities and jumping into a reality, I think it's very possible that the darkness could be trying to escape through these realities, and especially realities connected to Alan. Because, note, chapter 3 very much ends in, I hate to spoil it for you, but it ends in an interaction through the text game prompts with Alan. You interact with him through the text prompts because he is the writer. Chapter 2, Coffee World is a part of the Alan Wake universe. That's literally in Bright Falls. And again, chapter 1, it's the fan. She is a major fan of Alan, and he directly communicates to her through the knockoff Big Mouth Billy Bass. But this theory of it not just escaping through the dreamscape, but also to people connected to Alan, goes back to the first DLC for the first game, the American Nightmares DLC. Because who's asleep in the intro to it but his agent? In the intro to that DLC, who is asleep in the motel as the TV clicks on to show Night Springs? The same show that is the feature and name of the DLC for the second game? It's Alan's agent. If the TV is on Night Springs while he's asleep, more than likely he's gonna be dreaming of Alan. Like his like star client. And even if we just go into like the dreamscape thing in general, in the main Alan Wake 2 game, it's very much hinted at and implied that, what am I saying? It's directly said that Scratch is getting to Alice through nightmares. Like, she's having nightmares about him. And again, she's connected to Alan. There is a whole thing here. And it's been in plain sight this whole time. This whole time. And with the implication of the darkness and world of all people and characters seeping into other realities, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if the next game ended up going even more meta. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if the next game ended up just being a full on FMV game, like old school FMV. Like full FMV point and click, and it just follows Sam Lake making the game. I wouldn't be surprised because at this point, we've been like fully introduced to Poison Pill with Sam himself directing. That that was probably one of my favorite moments in the Night Springs DLC because it was funny as hell. And just it just seemed like a genuine conversation he would have with someone, but it feels like it's just inching closer to our reality in a way, to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if the next game was just fully meta. Like they just said, "Oh yeah, no, fourth wall. What fourth wall? We're fully breaking that fourth wall," and it just like entered like the team's dreams because it really does seem like there is a connection to not just the dreams, but to anyone connected to Alan Wake. And I mean, who is more connected to Alan Wake than one of the biggest minds behind it? So, yeah. I think this is a very interesting thing we should be talking about more. Also, why don't people make more theories about these games? These are so fun to talk about. I love the story and the connection between all the different Remedy, Poison Pill, universe, worlds. Because I genuinely keep forgetting that Poison Pill is an actual thing. Because in the Night Springs DLC, it's like, oh yeah, no, it's like chapter 3. You think it's just a parody of Remedy, but if you look back at the American Nightmare DLC ads, what channel is it connected to? Poison Pill Entertainment. Like you keep forgetting how meta this whole thing gets, and it's just like I honestly think this is a fun just world to not just get involved in, but also just theorize about. Because it is. Like there's so much you can talk about, so much you can cover. So yeah, no, that's this episode of More to the Story. We're bringing back the series because I wanted to talk about this because it was very much on my mind. And very much something I have been thinking about recently and noticed the connection to the DLC from the first game. Well, literally the day of recording this. And I mean, to be fair, I did think about the DLC in the second game when it came to the We Sing chapter because it covers literally all of Alan's life. So if the DLC actually happened, it would have been covered there. But no, it didn't. You didn't get a whole discussion about the battle between Scratch and Alan and like all of what happens in that DLC. All you know is that this whole thing is a battle in the dark place because it just happened in the dark place. Like it seems like it implies that that Scratch escaped and was taking his place, but if that were the case, we would have been hearing about that in the song. But then again, I guess you could say it technically does because in the DLC American Nightmare they do call Alan the Champion of Light and Scratch the Herald of Darkness. But still, again, I feel like they would have covered it in the We Sing chapter, like the actual events of the game. Because they cover the events of what happens in the first game, because that happens in Alan's reality. What happens to Alan in the dark place doesn't get discussed at all. They're just saying that he needs to stop the darkness from seeping out into that reality. Oh, man. There's so much you could talk about with these games. So much. So yeah, no, if you guys have anything you want me to talk about theory wise, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you want to hear me talk more about Alan Wake, I will happily. Now, don't ask me to talk about Control stuff though, because I'm not as well versed in the Control universe. I wish I was, but I'm not. I like latched onto the Alan Wake games and just like, you know, I fell in love with those games because I mean, I love story driven horror games all like that. Like it's to me it's very reminiscent of games like Scratches and I loved Scratches. That was one of my favorites. I even have the disc for the director's cut version, but it reminds me of like Scratches and old school like point and click horror games, and I love that. So yeah, no, if you want to hear me talk about this more, also comment. But I will see you guys in the next video. I don't know if it's going to be another one of these, if it's going to be another video about something else, another write with me, even though I really haven't been writing much. I've been working on other projects. I mean, my comic is kind of like writing. It's still telling a story, and there are words still involved. But, as far as this episode goes, I guess welcome back to more to the story, and I can't wait to see how many other things we could talk about. Bye. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. That was the worst jumble of words, but you know what I mean. Smash that like button. Bye.